Hey guys, welcome to Red's Projects. Today, I've got a very special truck I want to show you. Been wanting to make a video on this thing for a long time. This is Tony's 02 F250, and I've got a bit of a history of this thing, so I really wanted to make a video for a long time on this truck. I'm no F truck person, but I would have to say this is one of the smallest F trucks you could probably get. It's two-wheel drive, short wheelbase, single cab. It's got a tray on the back. It's probably the smallest, lightest F truck you could probably get, I would imagine. Let's not get too hung up on how it looks. It's what's under the bonnet that excites me. All right, so no V8s under this engine bay. This is a 4.2 litre inline six turbo diesel. It's a MWM engine. I think they're made by the Germans, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. This is a very underrated motor. For us Aussies, this is very comparable to like a TD42 in the patrols, or like a 1HZ or 1HDT in the Land Cruisers. It's similar size, and you know, we could argue all day about which engine's better, but so it's a pretty simple motor. It's mechanically injected. We've got a rotary pump down there. Very simple, no electric gizmos at all. We've got a nice big front mount on this thing. It's guessing the same intercooler they probably use on the Power Stroke turbo diesels, which would be that guy right there, the 7.3. And yeah, just a very simple engine. Lots of potential, but not much information on the net about these things at all. So they're a little bit of an unknown, but the few people that have hotted them up, they've got great results out of them. All right, so a bit of history on this thing. About 5 years ago, I was working at a truck workshop, and back then Tony was more of a customer than a friend, whereas now we're really good friends. Back then he was just a good customer that occasionally had the odd request here and there. One of the odd requests was he drove this thing in and he said, we've got to make more power with this thing. First thing we kind of agreed on was we want to put a bigger turbo on it. Now here's the original guy here. Probably can't see it that well, but it is a tiny little thing. I'll get a good shot of it next to the new guy. We spoke to our local Garrett dealer, and we're talking with him. We decided on this guy, which is a GTX 2867 Gen 2. So it's like a billet wheel, trick little guy. It's rated for about 500-ish horsepower, probably on a petrol engine, but it should be enough airflow for what we need. And it's sized pretty well that it shouldn't be too laggy. So we put that guy on. I did the fab work, which don't look too hard, it's a bit rubbish. It was before I knew what a TIG welder was, so it is what it is. Fabbed it all up in that. It went a little bit better, but I drove it home and drove it around for a little bit and played with the injector pump a lot and got some more fuel into it. Got some more fuel into it earlier, so I was making boost earlier in that, and that really transformed the car. It felt a million times better. Also mentioned, before we did anything to it, we got it dynoed from another local workshop, and we can't remember the exact figures, but it was in the 80 kilowatt mark. So I'm guessing, I think it was 83. Tony thinks it was 88. It's somewhere in the 80s. So it made not a great deal of power. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a falling out with that workshop, so we couldn't put this back on the dyno after I did a little stuff to it. So we just left it as it was. We had a pyro gauge, we knew it was safe. We knew it was making a lot more power than what it was before. So we were just happy with it, and we just let it go the way it was. Tony has been daily driving it pretty much ever since then. And it's only just recently that I had the opportunity to put it back on the dyno and try and squeeze a little bit more power out of it, or at least work out what the next options were. So earlier this week I put it on the dyno and stayed there quite late, made like 25 runs on it, trying to get some more out of it. So we'll skip back to that. I'll show you all those runs, and then we'll continue on with today's activities. this first run is just to get a baseline on how much power the truck is making the way it is. Now keep in mind, when it was completely stock and we dynoed it, it made 83, 88 kilowatt, somewhere in that 80 area, and it never went on a dyno after that. So it has been touched in the last 4 or 5 years, so we put it on the dyno, just see what power was making, what the AFRs are, what the boost was, and see where we were going to go from there. So first run, it made 131.7 kilowatt, 495 newton meters of torque at 23 pounds of boost. That's great. That's a big markup from the 80 or so kilowatt it had originally. All right, so next couple of runs, I just want to play with the boost a little bit. So first thing I wanted to do was just see what the base gate pressure was. So I took the boost controller off, just ran a simple hose from the pipe to the wastegate. And with that, we achieved about 10.5 psi, which is a very low starting point when you're aiming for, say, 30 or 35 psi. So the next run after that, I shortened up the wastegate actuator rod, just to put a bit more preload on the spring. That got us pretty much to 12 psi, which is still probably way too low. So that was kind of what we're stuck with. So from there, I put a boost controller on it, a different type to what was on it, and loosened it up right away just to try and speed the process up a bit. With that run, it made just under 24 pounds of boost, and I played it for a bit. I gave it like half a turn, half a turn, half a turn, didn't really change anything. I completely pulled the line off the wastegate, so there was no source pressure going to the wastegate, and the boost went to slightly over 24 psi. So that tells me that the wastegate actuator isn't stiff enough. I've got a solution for that already, but I'll show you these 4 runs right now. The next few runs were just playing with fueling. So one of the things Tony requested was to try and get rid of some of the smoke when it's off boost. Unfortunately, when you do that, you lose response. So I tried a little bit. We lost a little bit of power and a little bit of response. So I took a little bit of fuel out there and then just put it straight back in because we needed it. And then I was trying to add fuel when it's under boost, which is the diaphragm section of the pump. And there wasn't much left in it. This pump was pretty much flat out already. So I might have picked up a little bit of fuel and a little bit of power playing with that, but not a great deal. And then I was just doing runs, just letting it cool down. We're at about like 138, 139. So I was just giving it the truck a few minutes to cool down and do a run. I was just trying to get that 140 kilowatt dyno readout just for the hell of it, and we ended up doing it on the last run, which is the video of where I've got the camera facing the wheel and the exhaust. So on that particular run, that was the 25th run, it did 140 kilowatt point whatever, and that was the hero run for the whole night. Alright, so as just seen from those videos, we made a big jump up on the original power this thing made. So remember, years ago, before I put this turbo on, we dynoed it, it made 80 something kilowatt, 88, 83, whatever. And with the street tune that I kind of did on this 5 years ago, rolled it on the dyno, made 131 kilowatt I think, and like 500 newton meters. And then after spending all night there and doing 25 dyno runs, I ended up at 140 kilowatt, but we did learn a lot from that. First thing I learned was that I need to get a stiffer actuator, wastegate actuator. That's an easy fix though. I've already yesterday went and bought a 21 pound actuator, which means that the lowest boost pressure we should be able to run is 21 pounds. And then we just go up from there. So I'll put the boost controller on with that. Should easily be able to get 30, 35, providing everything goes well. The other thing we learned is the fuel pump is pretty much maxed out. Tony's got a spare engine. At some point he bought another one of these engines as a spare. We're going to take the pump off that, give it to an expert, and he's going to do whatever they do to pumps to make them better. Hot it up, make it bigger, I got no idea. But we do it with patrols all the time and we get awesome results. So gonna get the pump hotted up, and then hopefully with that, some more boost, we should be able to make a fair bit more power. What we're going to do now, I'm going to go for a drive. I need to put some fuel in this thing, but we're going to go for a drive, and I'm going to try and capture how cool this is to kind of drive. It reminds me a lot of driving a truck, but it goes really well and it sounds cool, and it's just a real awesome thing to drive. And also I'm going to bring the draggy along, and we're going to just see what it does 1/4 and 1/8 mile, just for the hell of it. So yeah, let's go have some fun. Actually, before we go anywhere, I'm going to fire it up and let you hear how it sounds. Let's go. got some fuel, got the new street machine, which I'll read when I get home. And we're off to somewhere we can stretch this thing's legs. So let's just appreciate how this sounds a little bit here. Okay, I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but we'll give it a go. Got the draggy stuck on the tow bar, so hopefully it stays there. Okay, try for second gear. Okay, looks like it didn't record it. It's saying to reconnect, so I'm hoping the drag is still on the car, hasn't bounced down the road. No, it's here, it's good. Why didn't it connect? Alright, let's try this again. Draggy looks like it's working properly now. Second gear. Do so quarter mile 18.79, 74 miles per hour. So yeah, it's what you expect from a big heavy vehicle like this. And you're probably wondering, I'm taking off in second everywhere. This has got a really low first gear. Like, if we go first, it's like low range in a four-wheel drive. 20. So I'll never use first in this thing. It takes off so well in second that you don't even think about taking it on first. Alright, I've had enough fun today. I'm heading home. I've got other cars to work on today. Hope you like this quick little look at this F250 of Tony's. And with any luck in the future, in the near future, we'll sort out the fuel pump for it. I'll put that actuator on, throw some boost at it, we'll throw some fuel at it, and hopefully make some more power, make it a bit more fun.